We're going to start by looking at what Ms. Villanueva says. And she says, I remember 5 distinct students. Now this is important because she's talking about 5 separate people. So we got to keep that in mind. Neither the student who came in during second period, who was not in the 900 stacks, nor the student with the red book, who was not checking out a drawing book, was wearing a gray backpack. That's talking about 2 different people. One of them is the student who comes in second period. So we go to the second period row. They were not in the 900 stacks. If we look at our Dewey decimal chart, we can see that history, specifically ancient history, would be in the 900 stacks. So we know that this person who came in second period was not looking for a book in ancient history, nor the student with the red book. So now we go to the red book column and we say they were not checking out a drawing book. So we go to and cross out drawing under the red book. And because the first student can't be the same person as the second student, the red book can't be the person that goes in second period. Those are 2 different people. So we're going to put an X there. And neither of them, the first or the second student, was wearing a gray backpack. So the second period student did not have a gray backpack, and the red book student did not have a gray backpack. Then she says, and Betty, who didn't check out a black book, was not in the 500 stacks. So Betty's a third student. If we look at our Dewey decimal chart, we see the 500 stacks has to be fossils, because that's science. So Betty, we go to Betty's row, she did not pick out fossils, so we're going to put an X there. And she did not check out a black book, so we're going to put an X there. And now we also know Betty wasn't the first or second student. Betty's the third student. So Betty then couldn't have come at second period, because that's the first student, and Betty could not have taken out the red book, because that's the second student, and Betty is the third student. There was also a student who didn't come in third period who checked out a yellow book. So this is talking about the fourth student. So the fourth person there that she remembers took out a yellow book, but it did not come third period. So we're going to go to yellow book and not come third period. So that's an X. And we also know that since that's the fourth student with the yellow book, so that could not have happened in the second period because that was first student. We already know it couldn't be the red book because yellow and red are different. You can't have more than one book. And it can't be Betty. So Betty couldn't have had the yellow book because she's the third student. And then finally, a student who wasn't a mirror, who didn't come in first period. Now that's a nested parentheses. And in a logic puzzle, you deal with a nested parentheses, kind of like you do in math. So you look at the most inside parentheses, who didn't come in first period, and then you go out and you see it was a mirror. So a mirror did not come in first period. So we're going to put that there. Put an X in the 1. And a student who wasn't a mirror checked out a book where the first digit of the call number was even. Well, if we look at all our choices of book subjects, the only one that would have an even first digit would be French. So we know Amir was not that fourth person who took out that even book, being French. So Amir did not take out the French book. So now let's go through and recognize again that there's 5 different students. So second period is the first student. They could not take out the French book because that was taken out by the 5th student. Red book is the second person. They could not take out the French book either. Betty was the third student. She is not going to be taking out the French book. And the student who took out the yellow book is the 4th student, and they will not take out the French book because the French book is the 5th student. So that gives us a lot of information.